Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Dr. Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires we call the Internet is Joe Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm okay.
You don't sound okay.
Oh, well, like Billy Crystal said, better to look good than to feel good.
You probably don't look all that good the way you sound.
Oh, no, hang on, let me look. Ooh, God, that'd do me. Yeah, I'm okay.
Well, I'm glad somebody would do you.
You know how it is. You go to the con and you got to pick up that Con Crud.
Yeah, another reason not to go.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, when this is the first year I'm looking forward to Festivus. Because I will tell you how many fucking times I had an answer. Where's Cory? How come Cory didn't come? Why didn't Cory come?
Whatever.
I said, well, he's here. See that chair over there? Oh.
Yeah, you were asked once.
Dude, don't think so little of yourself. I was asked. Oddly enough, I didn't run into anybody from the show because, of course, nobody recognizes me. They're all looking for Dr. Uncle Rat Bastard. Boy, maybe that's why I'm hacking up.
Well, I'm going to be a doctor until the election because you won't let me change my name to Dr. Astonishingly, what is it? Astonishingly Incredible. So fine, I'll be Dr. Uncle Rat Bastard.
No.
See, I was going to have us do a debate, but after watching the debate last week, no. There's no way we can ever top that.
That is true.
By the way, I have decided that everyone I have ever offended, everyone I have ever made angry, everyone who has ever been upset with me for something, I have an excuse.
Which is?
My microphone was broken. Think it'll work?
Actually, maybe I should use that, because I tend to crash more than you do.
Well, yeah. Your computer crashes, your internet dies, you go to Alaska.
No, the internet's fine. It's computers lately. But the behind-the-scenes stuff is, it's a glorious Sunday out.
Wait. We're breaking kayfabe?
Well, yeah. But it's a glorious Sunday out, and rather than, go outside and actually do something,
or go geek.
I made the mistake of calling Cory and say, hey, let's do the podcast today so we have a rare Monday free. And then, of course, spent an hour and a half trying to get my computer to stop downloading and scanning, whatever the hell it feels like downloading and scanning. So I fired up the old, Kray 2, not 2000, not 200, the 2, and we'll see how long this thing lasts. I tell you, I cannot handle. I hate computers because you never know what the hell they're doing, and it's like, oh, well, just get rid of a few of the processes or applications running. Well, everything's so damn intertwined. It's like, okay, well, I don't use Explorer. Stop Explorers. Boom, the entire desktop disappears. Reboot. Oh well, let's say they got Google Play, Google Chrome, Google Tickle Uranus. I'll get rid of that one. Oh, wow.
Wait, there's Google Tickle Uranus? I need to go download that.
I would say Google it, but you know where that goes. Well, how did all these... I think that's a Dell fetish, because every Dell computer is so intertwined with Google.
It goes to Urban Dictionary.
Oh.
Tickles Uranus is a derogatory synonym for the phrase float your boat, used to make fun of homosexuals, such as, I really miss musical theater. I think I'm going to the opening night of the new musical in town. Whatever tickles Uranus, man, just leave me out of it. So I don't think we should use that phrase. It's derogatory.
Since when do we worry about derogatory?
My microphone was broken.
Yes, I know it was. But that's not what... And, the other thing is, because Cory wasn't there, I don't feel the need to really talk too much about... But I will tell you, that a controversy erupted while we were busy working our Cory gate.
Yeah. You know why you don't want to talk about it? Because just one person came up to you and said, "Where's Cory?" And when you said, "He's not going to conventions anymore," they went, "Well, thank God."
Let's put it this way: if it helps you sleep better at night, Strode, you go ahead and think that.
I will.
But what happened was,
what helps me sleep better at night is a bottle of. While Joe dies. You should just take a couple fingers of bourbon. That'll help the cough.
I haven't. I've done bourbon. I've done honey. There are two things that actually helped. And
crack and hookers?
No, I said helped. Not pay. Helped. I tried that drug they advertise, Mucilex. Because usually I use Sudafed. And Mucilex actually worked pretty good. Because that first night of the cold, you wake up, and I should say, that first night you go to bed, you're going to wake up the next day and feel like hell because you're going to have like a fist-size agony right kind of like underneath the breastbone where all the phlegm is just sealed and congealed so that you got to spend the first hour of the day wondering when you're going to hack that crap up. And it feels like, you're ripping sandpaper off of tar paper as you're hawking it up, clearing it so you can finally breathe. But the day I took Mucilex, I didn't have that. So that was actually a pleasant surprise to actually get a night's sleep and be able to wake up the next morning and not, okay, do I want to start hawking my lungs out now or wait an hour and do it? The other thing I did is I took pineapple juice, which apparently has some type of chemical in it that actually, well, as my daughter says, pineapple juice will eat human tissue. So while you're eating it, it eats you. The advantage is that as you take it and it goes down your throat being covered with that layer of mucus, it eats the mucus away and it helps break up a cold a little bit better. So I did that a little bit more. So other than just sitting around watching television and wondering why I took all the precautions. I washed my hands. Anybody got near me, I farted. I had my what's that hand goop you use?
Hand sanitizer?
Maybe that's what it is. Is this old hand sanitizer? It's from the last con. Nope, expires 2017. I didn't know it did expire.
Everything expires except, the canned goods I have for when the zombie apocalypse hits.
I'm going to mute for a second while I hack myself.
Well, while Joe's muting, it's like another good reason I don't go to conventions. Human contact.
There are no good reasons. And I have a whole 5 years' worth of shows that say otherwise. This is a new Strode phenomena,
Yes, it is.
And it's a bad Strode phenomena because we actually had something fun going to a con.
But at least this time I didn't get the bird flu.
I would have thought it would have been more fun to actually branch out to some of these other cons. There's actually, well, of course, the big problem with the fall con was that there's a big-ass New York con going on at the time. So trying to get some of the major guests we would normally have got, and even some of the local guys, they just weren't there. They had to go to New York. And that was even a problem back when Nick was running the show because it's like every weekend another major con pops up, and just trying to get guests to come to Minneapolis, St. Paul to begin with is a headache, especially when some of these other places. Well, this will kind of get into what the topic was I suggested to Cory. This thing popped up between last episode and this one. Out in California, apparently they passed a law. It's called Sale of Autographed Memorabilia. And what it does is it requires dealers in any autographed material to provide certificates of authenticity for signed items sold more than $5. The idea is, of course, to crack down on fraudulent autograph sales. And that's not a bad idea.
Especially, California, you've got all sorts of memorabilia dealers. And I know that we're going to talk about it from a comic aspect, but, baseball cards and baseball bats. And when I worked at Schindler's, we had autographed items, and people always said, "Oh, you guys fake those. They're all fake. They're all fake." And it's the same thing like, well, you guys open all the packs of cards and then take out the good cards and seal them back up. It's no, we open up all the packs of cards so we can make sets and have singles and
stars from the big screen will make a.
That's actually the point I was going to make up is I have an article loaded about Mark Hamill because he spends a lot of time authenticating his signature for fans, and he's one of the guys that was for this bill because he sees a lot of fake stuff, and it really pisses him off. FBI had an Operation Bullpen during the 90s. This was more in the sports and celebrity market area, where they actually did a huge thing and cut down on a lot of fraud dealing with it. I mean, they had 63 charges and convictions, seizures exceeding $4.9 million, which included guys with homes, cash, bank investments, 18 forgery rings dismantled, over $300,000 in restitution was paid to over 1,000 victims, and over $15 million plus were prevented by seizing tens of thousands of pieces of forged memorabilia through 75 search warrants and over 100 undercover purchases. So in the world of the sports memorabilia, like you were talking with Schindler's before my computer interrupted, you thought I just interrupted, and with
I'm used to you interrupting.
With like Mark Hamill talking about it, and he's really, I mean, it pisses him off. You know, he's quoted as saying, "I feel protective of fans because of how much this sport they've given us through the years, because really, if it weren't for fans, I wouldn't even be sitting here." And when he was asked how many autographs he looked on Twitter for fans, he says, "Oh, hundreds, maybe thousands." You know, and he'll say, "Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's not." So it is a problem.
And one of the cool things that Mark Hamill has done that I've noticed is, like, if he signs a Star Wars card, he'll put a snotty kind of remark about himself on it.
Oh yeah, those are legendary. You got to really check some of that stuff off.
Which I understand a lot of I want a celebrity's autograph. I want a celebrity's autograph. And when I was younger, I would go to conventions and get tons of stuff autographed. But now, if I get an autograph, it's going to be on one thing, and it's going to be, it's not like I want to sell it. When I saw Dave Sim, I opened up that page in Church and State and said, "This is my, as a single dad, this is my favorite page of anything you've ever drawn." So he signed it and drew more on it.
You really got to find that and put a scan of it online. It is hilarious.
I put a scan up a few years ago.
Oh,
I'll have to put it up again.
It's pretty funny. So basically,
like when Pat Broderick was at the convention, I know that he did a really early Man-Thing issue. So I went over and brought it to him, and he was like, "I never worked on Man-Thing." And I flipped it through, and I said, "Yeah, you did, right here." He's like, "Oh, crap." And he looked, and he started flipping. It's like, "I completely forgot I drew this." And signed it with, "I forgot I drew this. Thanks for reminding me."
But as all good laws do, there are unintended consequences. Let's say you go to an author event and get a book signed. Eventually your bookshelves fill up and you want to trade a book at a shop like Eureka. Guess what? Remember that certificate of authenticity that sounds so reasonable? Well,
you don't got it.
Your name and address has to go on the certificate of authenticity because I, as the person issuing the COA, have to say where I got the book. This applies to signed books, art books, any other autographed items you own. Maybe you want to sell a, Morris Graves painting you inherited. Send it to an auction house where it sells for $400,000. Good for you. But did you supply a certificate of authenticity? Why? Well, guess what? The law requires you as the owner of the painting to guarantee its authenticity. It's authenticity. And if you don't, you'll be liable for 10 times the damages plus attorney fees. Of course, the best thing is now that they have your address on file, somebody might think, "Hey, this son of a bitch got a $40,000 painting he just sold. I wonder what else he might have in his house."
Wait. So you're telling me that if I sell my stolen copy of the Mona Lisa, I have to supply a certificate of authenticity explaining how I stole it?
If the guy who buys your painting lives in the Golden State, law still applies.
Well, then I'm not selling anything to people in California.
Now, I've given Cory a lot of shit about refusing to go to the con to sign his fucking book that him and Dan Moores are doing.
Now you understand why.
Yeah, but he didn't go to California.
You don't know that.
Consider bookstores that do a lot of author events. Imagine Neil Gaiman goes to one of his typical massive book signings. I don't know, for Norse Gods, it's coming out in February. 1,000 people show up, buy the book at $25.95. Bookstore either has to issue 1,000 COAs or risk being sued for, let's see, $25.95 times 1,000 times 10 plus attorney fees. I call it $300,000.
Now here's my question. Let's say I get this. I go to Half Price Book and Magazine. I buy, there's a book. Oh, I open it up. Author signed it, but they're still selling it for half cover price.
They are at risk because they didn't give you a COA.
But they're not selling it as an autographed book.
Not relevant. The
Really?
law does not cover that.
I would think that would be the first thing you'd have to correct. Because I've bought autographed books from bookstores in the past where they don't. Dreamhaven does not charge extra for the stuff Neil Gaiman signs. Or when they have an author signing, they'll have an author sign a bunch of books. They don't charge extra for those. So they're not selling you the autograph. They're selling you the book that just happens to have an autograph.
Now you see how problematic it will be for antique and secondhand booksellers. I mean, some people, they carry them. I mean, I remember looking, how many times have I talked about, I picked up this book. I think it was a story on the Road Warriors, and the remaining Road Warrior, Hawk, signed it. Anvil. Not Anvil. Animal. I thought you said Anvil. I was just, wait a minute, that's Smash and Anvil. He autographed it.
No,
and so did Paul Ellery.
That's Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Get your 80s wrestlers right.
Doesn't matter who autographed it. During a COA, they're liable. If I sell it on eBay, I'm liable, unless I sell it for less than $5. Art galleries, again, sell original works. And now...
This does not have a certificate of authenticity from Van Gogh, damn it.
The whole thing is that... Now, of course, what was interesting is eBay got itself exempted somehow. So we won't talk about that. But I mentioned that because at the con, of course, one of the big selling points, at least at our con, is nobody sells their autograph. And we've talked about that just as con etiquette in past programs. Like you said, go up, get an autograph. If you're going to have them autograph the entire run of the books they did, fine. Take them out, have them open the page you want, step out of line, come back in line, do it again. Some guys won't, some people will, But now, anytime you go to try to sell something, you would need to have that certificate of authenticity. And it's not only that you have to have it, but you have to issue it, you have to hold on to it, you have to have your name and address on it. All these different permeations come to mind. I mean, I think of all the stuff I've had that's autographed. A lot of people ask, certificate of authenticity. And I talked about it when I went to Vegas, because one of the things that when I went to Star Trek Con is guys talking about, what are certificates of authenticity? Do they mean anything? And the guy's like, well, not really, because anybody can issue a certificate of authenticity. All you're saying is that you believe it's authentic, because there really isn't anybody backing it up. You would still have to prove it in a court of law that, he sold this to me, I had a certificate of authenticity, and he hurt my feelings. So it's not, a COA does not necessarily worth the paper it's written on. Now, I know there are, especially on eBay, there's been problems with people, I'm trying to think of the name. Artist just passed away.
There are a bunch of them?
But their artwork, actually, some guy forged a bunch of them and put them up on eBay.
Oh, there have been a lot of forgeries. I mean, I see Jack Kirby forgeries on eBay all the time.
This was one of the guys who he draws in the style of the animated series.
Mike Waringo?
That was one of them. I can't remember, but you can look it up. And it's like all of a sudden, all these forgeries just show up. I just picked up an Adam Hughes print or a sketch, and I've seen this sketch dozens of times, and I was to the point where I was like, "There's no way Adam Hughes, if he did draw it, that this guy is selling an actual print." And then eventually, I found a guy who actually had a picture of Adam drawing it with it. Because it was just a quick side print, and some guys took this and were selling prints of it, and then they were selling other artworks of it. So there's always a big market. And the question, like you said, how do you prove something isn't a Kirby art? You know, especially when you start getting away from original comic book art, which is actually printed stuff, and just sketchworks and things like that.
Well, I'll be honest, I have seen, and because I'm on these Kirby discussion lists, they have actually shown forged covers, forged pages. And there are people who are excellent at spotting art, and they will say, here's the difference between the actual page and what this is. This is a forgery because of this. And it'll be, little tiny differences that you or I wouldn't notice, because we're not trained in it. But my question is, with this certificate of authenticity, those are easier to forge than signatures. Because you're basically just, oh, yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
Here's a piece of paper that says it's real.
Unless you get a picture of it, or you're, there's been times on eBay where I've sold something, and somebody's asked, well, do you have a COA with it? Well, no, I don't. Where'd you get it from? How do I know it's true? I said, well, you have to assume, because I have over 4,000 positive comments on eBay, that I'm not just going to decide to stiff you now and then after being on eBay since 1998. And also, a lot of the ones I got from MCBA shows. Unless you want to take it and go to the guy, hey, did you sign this? I haven't heard of anybody doing that. But, in a case of like someone like Mark Hamill, he does it. I mean, do we actually have people? I mean, I've got a whole autograph full of creators. I've got that one book that I've talked about. I've got Kurt Swan's autograph, Mike Carlin, Mark Grunwald. How would I prove that any of these autographs are true? There's no way I could. And for the record, they are, because I got them myself.
And I can see where comic conventions and memorabilia conventions are going to have trouble with this too, because the creators, they make money off the autographs. Some of the celebrities who show up have been making tons of just cash.
Yeah. There are guys that, I often joked, if I was ever an actor, I would just want to be in one episode of Star Trek, because then that would allow me to go to these cons. If I had some acting things that I wasn't actually acting, I could just go to a con and get a little money. And some of these guys, they talk about coming home with garbage bags full of 20s. And it's not just the D-listers, but the A-listers now are actually getting into that. Captain America's Chris Evans or The Walking Dead Norman Reedus, they might make $500,000 at a convention. And they're only charging $20 an autograph. They're not doing the thing like we talked about where to go see Shatner, it's $100. To get his picture is $100. To get his autograph is $100. To talk to him is $100. To make eye contact is $300. That type of stuff. And Shatner, as we've heard, gets a piece of the action. But yeah, a lot of these genre stars, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 an appearance, it's getting to the point where they make more money in a weekend than they do actually working on a show. Ex-Doctor Matt Smith collected $250,000 a weekend at a string of events he did. A lot of guys can command the six figures, and even the ones that don't necessarily can. this, it seems to be like $20 is the going rate. I mean, there's times where I stopped. Look at who I got an autograph from when I went to the Star Trek con. The one actor, and I can't remember his name, who played Lieutenant Leslie. A lot of the classic episodes, he was just in the background, a red shirt that always reacted to whatever Kirk said. A couple times he died, he got better. A couple times he actually had words. I mean, I paid $20 to see him, and he's essentially just a background actor, and he's still making a living doing this. The actor who did Cousin It, I paid $20 to get his autograph. Nobody else in that entire con hall. Well, I got to say I could, because I could have gotten Sulu for $100, but I didn't pre-order it. And the Next Generation crews were already pretty much done. You basically, for $100, you could get everybody's autograph, but you had to stand in ungodly lines. But that was my choice. I still kick myself because I couldn't get off when Shatner came to town a couple weeks ago. I'd have dropped $100 to get his autograph, but I'd have to drop another $100 to get a picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's some serious money that these guys, it's gotten to the point where some studios will tell their actors, you have to decide not if you're going to act or if you're going to go to conventions. They're saying that multiple producers will say if a guest or reoccurring actors turn them down in favor of a convention, they likely won't get called again.
Yeah.
Some shows have actually put their superhero boot down on the talent for asking for time off to do a fan event. Some producers, though, use this second revenue stream to lure talent to shows. They may want to get, there's not a lot of residuals around anymore, but if you can get an actor in, like I said earlier, to get onto a genre show, especially someone who's trying to break into the convention world, that could be a lure. You might see a name actor go, why in the world would they appear on this show? There's even some places like, I think AMC was toyed with creating their own event to cash in on the cash grab for their Walking Dead brand. But I think I think Robert Kirkman told them, I'm against that idea. And they kind of backed off on it. But, still, Wizard World, Reed Pop, the Star Trek cons, they still take a run at it. And
here's the thing, because I'm hearing a lot of people online complaining about it. Here's the thing, folks, it's supply and demand.
Big time.
If there's no demand, there won't be a supply for very long, because these actors are not going to go somewhere and sit in a chair and look at belt buckles for 2 days if they're not making a lot of money.
Unless they're like a C-grade actor who they have nothing else to do.
Yeah. But even then, the weekends, that's when you hustle for work. Maybe you get a play, stuff like that. You get some paying work. The Wizard World is not in Minneapolis anymore because after a couple of years, they burned through the market. The third year, people weren't showing up to pay money for autographs anymore.
Well, they front-loaded that first one. Even I was tempted to go. I mean, my big regret is, Matt Smith was there. Again, we were talking about the doctor, and it was $100 to go see him, and I thought, well, that's a lot. But what I found out is one of the listeners of our show, he had his whole family in the photo with him. And I thought, that was incredible. And Matt Smith was genuinely a nice guy. They talk about, he walked in and he goes, oh, wow, is that my screwdriver? And so they got a picture of him holding the screwdriver they brought in. And he posed with the entire family. I thought, that would have been such an awesome family photo to get my two girls and my wife, because, well, she's more of a David fan, but, she would have posed for that. I didn't realize you could do that. I thought it was like $100 a person. So, see, Wizard, you lost out. Not that it matters, but yeah, they front-loaded their first con, and their third one, there were people had to cancel. I forget who. There was one big actor who had to cancel because he had an acting job. Imagine that. I've heard that with Bruce Campbell a lot of times. Yeah, he'll do shows, but if there's an acting job coming up, sorry, guys, got an acting job, got to go. But now it sounds like some of these guys are doing the reverse. I mean, if you have the, Aerostar, what's his name, Stephen Amell, who decides, I'd like this off so I can go do this. And now the guy's like, I don't think you can do it. But he actually started his own talent agency to help other actors get in to this. And we've heard that before.
Aaron Gray did that.
Yeah, does that for, her actors. He's doing it like for the next generation or something, much to the chagrin of the traditional agencies like WME, CAA, et cetera, APA.
The APA?
Yes.
I like them.
Oh, yeah. Damn! Now, what's interesting, like I said, is that the MCBA, those guys don't charge for, or they ask, I guess, that the guys don't charge for.
They don't bring in celebrities.
No, the one celebrity they did bring in was brought in by someone else, and they asked, "Would you?" And they said, "Yeah, that's fine." They took care of everything. I mean, she charged. I can't. Again, I don't have none of my names ready, but she was the female villain in Superman 2, and she did a panel. Very nice. I paid $20 to get her autograph. Just, I don't know, because she was there, I guess.
Well, the other thing is, a lot of artists are looking at that kind of with the side eye, but you have to remember that this is a business. One of my son's friends shows up at conventions. She's never really been published anywhere. She does some online stuff, and she does art kind of as a side deal. At SpringCon, she made $400, $500. Why? $20 a sketch.
Yeah.
Angel Medina's making his living at conventions and doing commissions. When you show up as an artist, be ready to sketch, and you can get that grocery bag of 20s as well, even if people don't know you. It's the artists who, I don't do sketches, and I don't do this, and I don't do that, and then after the convention they go, I don't know why I didn't make any money. Well, I do. You made $100. This person who's less known than you, who's standing there shaking hands, kissing babies, drawing sketches, made 5 times as much as you. It's business. You got to look at it as a business. I don't think that the celebrity autograph thing is going away anytime soon. There are a lot of people who say, "Oh, it'll die out. It'll die out." I don't think it will.
There's always somebody new. I mean, look at the whole Star Trek genre. I mean, I don't know if any of the guys in the movies, the Pine movies, would actually go to a Star Trek con. I think some have, but and there are a few people like the actress that played T'Pol in Enterprise. She doesn't want anything to do with the con scene. Again,
she must have money.
Maybe. It's hard to, you don't know. I mean, I told the story, if you guys want to dig out the old, when I was back in Vegas, about the 2 actors who played with her. They were talking, they were in a car driving, and somebody next to them recognized her and were like giving her the thumbs up, and she's in the car just cutting the nastiest farts. And it was like 100 degrees outside in LA, and these guys were dying because they could not roll down the windows because it would have been just bring the hot air in and make it worse. And she's looking at him like, yeah, I'm glamorous, and just gassing her coworkers out. And the one guy goes, boy, she's going to be mad when she hears you told this story. And he's like, well, she never comes to these conventions. She'll never know. So that's another fun thing. I mean, if you can actually go, some of these creators and some of the actors are genuinely happy to see their fans, and they will actually, you get a few minutes to actually talk to them and have some fun, as opposed to, again, I don't know how much time somebody gets when they get with Shatner. And again, I'm sure Shatner looks at it. I've talked about Shatner's famous yes, So, hey, want to do this con? We'll pay your fees? Yes, I'll do it. Excuse me. Anyways, so again, I don't know. Would I have a chance to tell Shatner, hey, thanks for everything you've done. I've enjoyed it. Or is it for a guy like him, he's heard it all and it's just a job, he's bored, whatever, let's get it over with. I don't know. It's hard to say. You'd think some of these guys, though, going home with that type of money, hey, buck up, buddy. You're making $250,000 this weekend. Here's my 20, by the way.
Well, it gets pretty tiring doing the same. One of the things that authors talk about is how book tours back in the 80s and 90s used to be fun. Because you would go, you would sign for 3 or 4 hours. The book companies had money. They treated it like advertising, so they'd put you up in a hotel. They'd pay, you'd have an expense account, et cetera, et cetera. And now, unless you're Stephen King, you're putting together your book tour yourself. You're paying for everything yourself. And you bring in your books, you get a cut, and the bookstore gets a cut. And they may not have promoted you that much because they're going to sell the book anyway.
Well, yeah, I talked about...
And you haven't had time to do a lot of promotion other than putting it on your Twitter and your Facebook and your webpage. So you had creator signings at the shop where the creator, after an hour or so, is just kind of sitting there watching The Simpsons with us.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing I never really tapped into is the whole, have guests market. I mean, Dan and Brian did more at Hot Comics in Edina than I did. But my whole thing was initially when everybody, you had a day where Friday, everybody shows up because that's your day for comic books. And then when they got to Wednesday, it kind of divided everybody up. So I couldn't guarantee any guest, unless he was Jim Lee, any type of, audience, because you never know who would come in. And there were people, a lot of my customers just didn't care. Hey, I'm having a signing Friday. Whatever. I got my books. They don't, some people just don't care. Cory's becoming one of them. Just doesn't care.
Yep.
You want to see him at a con? Fuck you. He doesn't care. You want his autograph on the upcoming book? Which, despite my bitching and complaining, I ordered. Fuck you. You don't get it. You can have Dan's autograph. You get molested by Wolfie. But Cory? Nope. Forget about it.
Cory's tired of being molested by Wolfie.
I think Cory's tired of just not being molested. You had your chance to molest Cory, now it's gone.
And no one did other than a puppet.
Besides, you see this here? This thing here? This is my agreement I had with Cory way back in the original shop. I get 10% of anything he makes, which up to now has been 0. And even when he used to molest that $20 bill in his left pocket and move it to his right pocket every time, taunting us with it, early episodes, guys, he refuses to go to cons. He's not worth nothing. I'm ripping it. It's over. Forget it. I do have the notarized copy in my safe deposit box, but that's a different one.
I wasn't there when it was notarized. Is there a certificate of authenticity?
I'm not bringing you to California.
Yeah, but I may move there.
So,
just for this.
All in all, Cory, this whole thing with certificate of authenticity, what do you think about it? What's your take?
I think for stores selling stuff, it's a good idea. If you go to memorabilia shop A or sports memorabilia shop B, or the Twins have a sports shop. If it's a store selling it, yes, a certificate of authenticity is a good idea. I know that Dynamic Forces, who sells autographed books through Diamond, they give you a certificate of authenticity. I think for art, it's going to become a mess. I think for books, it's going to become a mess. And I think for conventions, comic creators are really going to be kind of saying, what the fuck?
Yeah. I can understand why all the high-priced guys are tired of it. And even there was a store in Mall of America that had a bunch of, I can't think, was it Adrian Peterson? One of those local guys, big-time autographs. And he went in and looked at him and he said, dudes, I didn't sign any of these. And they had COAs with them.
Yeah.
That might have been part of this whole operation we talked about, one of the seeds that started it. So again, with it, it's always a buyer beware. My 2 cents on it. It's, my boat partner Pat, he signs a lot. He has a lot of things that are signed. I think he's gotten rid of the ones he doesn't care about. But you're always going to have to decide, do you trust the person you're buying it from? And if you're really going all out with expensive shit, maybe, you're going to buy a piece of Jack Kirby art. Maybe you should call in an expert, and especially if you're doing it, secondhand. I don't think you have a problem if you're going like with one of the big auction houses. I haven't heard of them being bamboozled.
Well, and a lot of them have art experts. When you get into high-end art, your paintings and sculpture and stuff, there are art experts who will authenticate things. But in comics, it's still new in a lot of ways. I still remember back in the 80s when you could buy pages of Jack Kirby art for $35, $40.
Oh, I remember going to a con. I think it was in Kansas City. All that stuff just laying on a table, $25 a piece. You just basically flip through it. I mean, I wasn't really into art at the time, but I think Pat was, and he was just going crazy. Like, I can't believe, look at all this stuff, $25. I remember the 2-day Greenberg show. I think I talked about, was it last con or 2 cons ago? Joe Monks and Joe Linsner were there. His stuff was just sitting there, $25 a page.
Yeah.
That's how there's no time travel. I sent myself a note, dude, buy every fucking page you got. And I got a nice sketch of him in my my little sketchbook I talk about. If you go to Comic Art Fans, I think it is, the site where they sell this stuff, I've actually got a page under my name where I put up some of the more interesting pages of the sketchbook just for you to peruse and look at. And one of these days I'll sit down and actually talk about some of the experiences I had getting all these different sketches. I mean, like in case with Joe and that, I walked up, Joe was there, both Joes, and they were just sitting there, nobody around them at all. Jim Lee was the big guy at the show, and Stanley, of course. And I talked to him, and I
all the leaves.
And I asked, could I get a head sketch of Dawn, and then Joe, you write something, since he was the writer, what he was saying. And it turned out pretty nice.
I rarely buy sketches, and like I've said, I only really get autographs once in a while. But I really would rather just meet the creator and thank them for what they've done rather than, can you please autograph this for me, please, please, please? Because the book's just going to go on a shelf, and who's going to care if I have Steve Englehart's autograph in the Avengers Defenders War?
Although
he's going to care that I got Steve Gerber's autograph in Man-Thing Essential. Nobody's really going to care about that because they did so many autographs. It's celebrities, it's big stars, it's sports figures. There's really no market for comic creator autographs.
Not really. I mean, when they pass away, you'll see a big jump on eBay as people start unloading their stuff. I really dread the day when Stan Lee passes away because all the stuff he has and that he's done is just going to surface, and the prices are going to be insane. Go gingerly, my friends. Just wait a few months until everything settles. I tend to be that way. I mean, when Herb Trimp passed away, I went and bought a Blockbuster giveaway that he had autographed. He didn't even do the art on it. He just got the shout out because apparently he was the artist. He was the artist when Wolverine came around, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the first artist on Wolverine. However, the creator was Len Wein and John Romita.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, I got this thing, and of course, I didn't get buyer's regret. I still like it, but I was kind of like, this was really kind of a dumbass buy. I should have just waited and wait till something fun comes up. I mean, I had his autograph on a Wolverine 181 resketch that they did back when Marvel did I don't know what they call them, like Marvel Masterworks. DC did a bunch like that. They would take a first issue and put it in a special format so someone could try it.
Oh, yeah.
And he had actually done a little remark of, I think it was the Hulk, not Wolverine. And I had it up on the wall. I think eventually sold on eBay. It's kind of a neat little book. got it through Dynamic Forces. I've told this story before. One of the things I used to like to do when I had the shop was order things off of Diamond and Cap City's liquidation list. And I ordered something, it was X-Men, Jack Kirby. That's all it said. Didn't say anything else. Okay, well, it used to be a $150 thing. $50, I'll buy it. Well, Jack Kirby had passed away. And so I'm unloading the boxes, and I open this thing up, and it's a Marvel milestone, that's what it was called, of Uncanny X-Men #1 that Jack Kirby had autographed. And I pick it up, and I went, oh. And it was Dynamic Forces, had the signature, and a guy who had been shopping at our store a couple of weeks looked at me and said, what? Dude, this was autographed by Jack Kirby. And I showed it to him, and he was like, oh, wow. How much you want for it? And now the inside of my brain's going, I don't want to sell this. I want to keep it. But, I'm there to, so I told him the original retail price, $150. He goes, I'll buy it. And that's just the way I was. I made $100 off it. I'm trying to keep my business afloat. That's the way it worked. But it's always just one of those things that you think about. And I'm sure if I look, I could go find another Kirby autograph somewhere. But I do enjoy the works that he's done. I don't need his autograph to do that. I do like, though, having autographs because sometimes they spark memories. Shazam #1, I've got signed by C.C. Beck. And I always remember the story, and I've told it. This is probably number 5 on the podcast here. But I was just in line, at 12 years old. I got Shazam #1. I'm at a con, just standing, and I know it's C.C. Beck, so I'm just waiting. He's doing something, and he turns and he comes and looks at me. So what did you think of this? And my brain went, he's talking to me. I shouldn't, and I was like, I like it. And, years later, I read in one of Maggie Thompson's articles, that's the way he was. He's probably looking like, holy cow, here's a 12-year-old kid sitting here with my book. What is he thinking? And I'm panicking because I just expected, like every other person at the con, get an autograph, walk away. No, he wanted to talk to me, and I must have come out like an idiot. I like it. So I have that book, I have the autograph, and it sparks a memory for me, Kind of like the one you have of Dave Sim. So again, if it means something to you, go for it. If not, well, I don't know, maybe you should waste money with these guys, our sponsors.
Yes, here at Solitaire Rose Networks, we have ads. That's right, we have ads. Just like every other podcast. Come on, it's okay. Our first advertiser is our longest-running advertiser, and that's DreamHost.com. DreamHost.com is the best, bar none, web host all over the interwebs. You could go to other web hosts. You could go to the ones that have big ads on TV and everything, and they're not going to give you the service, the dependability, and the reliability of DreamHost. Head on over to DreamHost.com. Use the code CRAZY, KRAYZ, and get $20 off your first year of web hosting. Another of our sponsors is Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club has great blades at low prices, and let's face it, you got to shave. Head over to shaved.by/C19DC. Get you some blades. They're wonderful. I use them. I use all of our sponsors. Matter of fact, head on over to crazycomics.com. Over on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see all of our sponsors. Bombas, Grays, Flaviar, Dollar Shave Club, and DreamHost. If you would like to advertise on any of the podcasts in the Solitaire Rose Network, you can. Just email solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, subject advertising. Wow, Joe did the lead-in.
Only because I need to cough for a bit.
And after we do the
not quite
the ads,
superpower I envisioned having growing up.
After we do the ads, we ask Joe what's going on the eBays.
Well, all I can tell you is go on my eBays under the nomenclature of Crazy, Krayz, because I'll be putting up some of the fun stuff I found at the con. I'll probably talk about it next week. My throat's dying. I did have to take a couple days off work, which I'm sure when I get back to work, they're going to yell at me, how dare you get sick and take days off? But while I was doing that, I managed to put on a lot of new stuff, including a run of like John Carter, Warlord of Mars, first issue specials, the DC book that had a bunch of people. My run of supervillain team up. And a couple of miniseries that are fun. Ecstatic presents Dead Girl, if you remember Ecstatic. Spawn versus Wildcats. Alan Moore wrote it. A run of Warlock that reprints the whole Jim Starlin saga. Spider-Woman as done by Bendis and I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Oh, Alex Maley? I don't know. So a lot of fun stuff going up. A lot of weird things. You're digging through my collection, and I'll talk more about it when we get to geeking. I'm like, what the hell did I buy this for? And being that now I'm on a Sunday, I get a chance to relax and rest. So hopefully my voice is a little better next week. And
hopefully.
Again, the fun thing is for you, my fans, and my fans, not Cory's fans. Cory's fans can talk to the chair. Everybody else, let me know if you buy something and you heard it on this here show, and just send a note to me via the eBay system, and I will toss in something from my vast accumulation of crap as a freebie. Or maybe if you buy something big, I'll give it to you a little cheaper. You never know. Hey, those 4 tires I bought for my SUV ain't gonna or my light truck. They're not paying for themselves, Get off my lawn. Buy something from eBay. I'm sorry. I'm so under pressure.
And I think we've proven over the past 7 years of this here podcast, I don't have any fans. It's time for my favorite part of the show, Joe. Freaking a geeking. Joe, what are you freaking on?
I had to spend the whole fucking con. Where's Cory? Talk to the chair over there. Sit on him. Cory the chair. That's who the real celebrity was at the con. What are you freaking on, Strode?
Here it is. The DCBS says that they have shipped my books.
Oh, no. You know how well mine went last time? I can't wait to see
how this time. However, there is no shipping manifest, which means it's planned to be shipped, but it hasn't shipped yet.
That's because they don't pick up till Monday.
No. They put it out, because I check every week what got added to my box, and on Tuesdays, they've put a shipping date there. Cool. And then Wednesday I checked. The shipping date was yesterday. Thursday I checked. The shipping date was yesterday. Friday I checked. The shipping date was on Tuesday. But no little string of numbers so that I could check and see where it is. Now, by comparison, I went to the Amazon because I had bought something and got a $5.99 credit on Amazon Pantry that I had to use by the end of September. So the last day of September, I got home from work and I placed my order. I got food. It showed up today. So I'm not happy about that. The second thing is that this weekend we had the Ryder Cup here in beautiful Chaska. It's one of the biggest golf tournaments in the whole known universe, and traffic has been a gut-wrenching nightmare. I had to leave an hour early for work on Friday morning. Normally my ride to work takes about 35 minutes. It took an hour and a half. Coming home, I actually stopped and did my grocery shopping and stopped and at a restaurant and got something to eat because I knew that during rush hour it would be terrible. So I kind of hung out in Eden Prairie till about 7, so for 2 hours, and then the drive home was only an hour. So getting home has sucked. So no comics and driving around places. And Joe and I were supposed to go geeking today, but he's sick because he shook too many hands and then licked his hands after he shook them.
And as annoyed at Cory as I may be, I do not wish to give him what I'm currently hacking. Although it would be fun to listen to him next week, try to hawk up phlegm during the podcast. Damn, I didn't even think of that.
See? You screwed
up. I'm just Joe, not an evil rat bastard like some people.
Well, I'm not. I'm a goody two-shoes.
Not anymore.
It's been stated on the show.
No. That is retro continuity. That has been mopied. Somebody has beat the podcast wall, and the continuity has changed.
Actually, I think somebody beat the goody two-shoes out of me.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right. So what are you geeking on, Joe? That you're spreading disease? Oh. You're a festering bag of disease.
Despite how shitty my throat feels. I mean, I actually feel okay. It's just, oh, God, the training part of a cold is terrible. Hang on a half second here. I'm trying to get the computer to work. I want to give a shout-out to a former customer of mine. His name's Pete Riemenschneider. He's got a new company called Rent My Arcade. And if you feel like spicing up your event by renting an arcade and having him deliver it, you could contact him via his Facebook page, which is, I believe, Rent My Arcade. And I'm looking to see rentmyarcade.net is a place to go. He's got open 24 hours. He's done a few events. I didn't get a chance to get in contact with him. I should have seen if he wanted to bring it to like MCBA Con just to advertise. But he's got things like Donkey Kong, Centipede, Tron. I mean, just the old-fashioned arcade games that like you and I grew up with. And what a interesting idea. You know, it's something, you know, you sit and you think, oh, that's so easy. Why didn't I think of that? So check it out. Tell him we sent you, and maybe he'll give us here at the show a little bit of grief. He's in the Minnesota, St. Paul, Minneapolis area. So if you're in Hawaii or in Florida, probably he can't, you know, help you out there. But
and he's not going to California because he doesn't have any COAs.
Well, we don't know. He might have signatures on these bad boys. We just don't know. I am here going to take a half second as I have gotten some tracking information from my FedEx or my order from what do we call those guys?
DCBS.
Yeah. I'm losing it, man. That's one thing that sucks about a cold is, you know, you're doing good and then all of a sudden you just feel weary. Oh,
I feel weary all the time.
I have an anticipated ship date of the 30th with my delivery date possibly Tuesday. And I will inspect the tracking number, and mine apparently left the FedEx origin facility in New Haven, Indiana on Friday. So I'm getting comics. Since I have been sick, I've been just sitting on my butt. My wife and my daughter have been sick the last couple weeks with the same type of crud that I got. And I just told them, just sit, relax. You know, I sit and put stuff on eBay, but, you know, today it's just been so bad. Last night I just kind of sat down and picked up the old Netflix again and started watching some stuff. I watched 2 more episodes of Jessica Jones. I stopped on episode 4, so I rewatched it. And usually what I do is like, okay, if I start watching this and I get to, okay, I've seen this, I'll stop and go to the next episode. But damn, it held up pretty good considering I haven't watched it in a while. And then I watched the following episode, and it hasn't gotten to the cascade point where I felt like, oh, I got to stay up and watch the rest of them. And I just want to keep going because I'm behind on Daredevil. Luke Cage came out a while back. But I did stop, and I decided to watch Penguins of Madagascar. Because you know me, I'm all about the high thinking, highfalutin stuff. And Cory, I think you should actually watch this because you would probably get a kick out of it. And you know why?
Why?
The villain of it, his name is Dave, the octopus, voiced by John Malkovich.
Oh, neat.
And the cool thing was, I was enjoying the hell out of this movie. I like the Penguins. I think they're funny, brainless stuff. And when I got to the end and I saw it was him, I was like, holy shit, I want to go rewatch the movie now just to see his acting, his voice acting. It was fun. I've been talking about forever, you know, as I'm weeding through my vast accumulation of crap, how I'm, you know, finding stuff, putting on eBay, deciding what to keep, what to, you know, eventually plurge. And then, of course, every so often I stop and I like to talk about things that I've just got to stop and I have to read. And, of course, there was a collection of books that I absolutely love. I know, Cory, did you ever read Gregory by Mark Hempel?
Why, yes, I did. All 4 books.
Hi, Gregory! Oh, I love this stuff. I can't even do the yellow grade. Long out of print, Piranha Press, DC Comics. Gregory is just a simple lad who basically his best friend's a rat, and that's pretty much all he can say is
Herman the Vermin, right?
Herman the Vermin, yep. These were just extra copies because for some reason I just must have inhaled these things when they first come out. Or they might be left over from my comic shop. But I found the first one, which has a number of strips, and then Gregory 3, which includes the Miracle of Gregory Vision. So if you're looking for some serious whacked out humor, dig those up. I reread Justice League America number 200. I'd actually pulled this one out a while back because Back Issue magazine had a big article about how they put this together. Fantastic issue with all sorts of different art with it. And the Back Issue talked about how they worked behind the scenes to get all the artists together. Because back then they did actually monthly comic books. Whereas today, if they tried to pull something like this off, we might call it Image United or something like that.
It's still coming out, damn it.
It is. I found a copy of Frankenstein by Martin Powell and Patrick, Slaughter's name, Olife? I don't know. This is from Adventure Comics, and came out in 1990. And it's basically their take on the Frankenstein myth. And it's spooky as hell, which is amazing because usually comics don't spook me that much. But this one did. A couple issues of Conan. Issue 100, which is the death of, how do you say her name? The pirate lady, Belit?
Yes, Belit.
Yeah, I got one right. And, I just enjoyed it. I picked up an annual, I think number 3. I don't have it with me. I picked it up because it had Conan and King Kull on it. And I do remember there was a crossover with the two. This was not it. This had just a Conan story and a Kull story. So, I got it cheap out of the bin. It was fun reading. And I think other than reading, I got something new in the mail. Cory, you read Knights of the Dinner Table?
Why, yes, I do.
I picked up this here called the Cattle Punk Chronicles Outlaw Trail. Knights of the Dinner Table is a fantastic strip. It works on 3 different stories. First of all, it's basically a bunch of guys sitting around playing Hackmaster or Dungeons and Dragons, for those of you that don't get my gist. So you're following not only their interactions, but then the story interaction, what's going on with their characters is a story. And then, of course, they break away occasionally, and you deal with their personal life, like when they decide to go to GaryCon or they go to Weird Pete's Pit Stop or whatever. This particular is a square-bound book that deals with their game called Cattle Punk Chronicles that they played a couple times during the series. And what they did is they take all the strips that in the last 25 years that had Cattle Punk Chronicles, they expanded it, massaged it, and reworked it, put in over 45 new pages of all new material, and sold it as a standalone publication. They did this earlier with a series called Bag Wars. They did another one based on, I can't think of, there's a place where the dungeon masters all meet and talk shop. And this was basically I think it was either a bar or coffee shop that they went to. You can go right to Kenzer and Company's website and get it. I don't recall if it was ever ordered off of Discount Comic Book Service. I thought it was, but when I went back and looked at what I had on order, I didn't find it. So www.kenzerco.com, kenzerco.com, and they were doing some stuff where you could buy oodles of back issues at insane prices, either stuff that was in print or a lot of their old stuff they keep in PDF files. So you can get back and get some of the earlier stuff. Other than that, the rest of my day here is just going to be probably going back to old Netflix and watching. Cory, what are you geeking on? What's got you happier than a clam?
While I was moving some stuff and cleaning, I found a box of treasuries,
Ooh.
Marvel Treasury editions. So I sat down and I read Jack Kirby's 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've talked in the past about how that was how I saw the movie first, because I was a huge Jack Kirby fan, and I'd heard about 2001: A Space Odyssey, so I got my hands on that. And then I saw the movie like 5 years later when videotape became a thing. I actually had to go to a library to watch it because no video store had it because, that's an old movie. But Kirby's take on 2001: A Space Odyssey still holds up. Still. It's weird that Kirby didn't do more movie adaptations because his adaptation of 2001 was really solid. And then the other one was an adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, which was the first Marvel DC crossover. Did you know that, Joe?
I did.
Although there weren't any DC personnel working on it. It was written by Roy Thomas and laid out completely by memory by John Buscema. And they talk about how Buscema wasn't able to see the movie before he drew it. He drew it all from memory. And when I think Buscema, I think heroic stuff. I think the Conan stuff and the superhero stuff second. But he really did a great job of capturing the feel of the movie. And you would think that he would kind of, I don't know the best way to put this, superhero it up. Nope, he didn't. It was just a straightforward adaptation. The musical numbers, of course, do not come off well because it's comics, but it was a great adaptation. They also did a adaptation of the second book, The Land of Oz, but that one was Roy Thomas and Raphael Kayanen. It was not by Buscema because Buscema was a big fan of the movie but had never read the books. I also have spent some time with Netflix. I had the whole weekend off. So I watched Cosmos, which I was unable to do when it was on because I just didn't have the time. The Neil deGrasse Tyson version. Loved it. Been watching a couple other things, but because I have not watched all of Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Daredevil Season 2, I was not one of the people jumping on, I got to watch Luke Cage. So instead, I want something funny. I have now watched the first season of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and it's fantastic. It's by the people who put together 30 Rock, so if you like the 30 Rock style of humor, it's really, really good. Carol Kane's in it, who I have not seen in a long time, and it's a shame she's not in more stuff, because she's always funny.
Do you ever find yourself suffering from Netflix indecision?
No.
Oh, God, that's all I do. I spend more time looking at what's on Netflix than I do watching anything on Netflix.
I have a list.
I should do that.
It's more, do I have time?
Yeah, I should do that, because now, like you said, I got time, but I'm just like, what?
For me, it's okay. I want to get through Archer. I want to get through this. Oh, I still haven't seen this. And I flipped over to the WWE Network, and I watched the first episode of Hardcore TV back when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling.
And?
It was terrible. It was everything that I'd hated about wrestling when I was a kid. Big, fat, slow guys stomping around in the ring, slapping each other in the chest. Terry Funk doing commentary, and Terry Funk doing his best to try to sell this slow, boring crap. Here's the weird thing, Joe.
What's that?
When I mention this name, tell me what you think of him. The Sandman.
Oh, it just comes out to a Metallica song, drinks beer, smokes cigarettes. Usually he's got something hard to hit somebody with. The harder of the hardcorest.
No.
No?
No, he's a surfer dude. and he's called the Sandman because he's on the beach all the time. And he is your Eastern Championship Wrestling champion. And all I can think is, I cannot wait to see when they change his character to the beer drinking, chair swinging, cigarette smoking Sandman. But he's so much of a Sting knockoff, even with the face paint. It's terrible. It's just terrible. But then I did flip over and watched an AWA episode, and it was just as bad. It's those were all squash matches.
Pretty much. If they have the interviews, then it would probably be worth watching.
But the Eastern Championship Wrestling, you could tell that they were just taping their shows. They wouldn't do the old time-honored, okay, here's the star, he's going to squash somebody, come out to the matches and see us. No, we're just filming our show because they're doing a tournament for the TV title. And the only person other than Sandman I recognized was Jimmy Snuka, who had seen better days. But still, it was fun to watch, and it was nice that I had time. And I'm getting all caught up on the pay-per-views so far I've missed. Haven't seen WrestleMania yet. Yeah, I still haven't seen WrestleMania.
I did, but I don't remember.
I've made some bad choices. But having a weekend off, it was pretty cool. The group home actually has enough overnight staff, so they didn't call me. So you would think I would be all rested, wouldn't you, Joe?
You?
Yeah.
No. You'll find something to mess it up.
Well, and last week I had a Solitaire Rose podcast with Lance Ward, who was at the fall convention too. He is now in the 2016 Best American Comics book. You should go listen to that. We talk about his struggles with mental illness and also how he became a cartoonist, an acclaimed cartoonist very late in life, and why it took him so long to get into that. Also, this week I have an interview with Dave Shearer of PW Insider.
Wow. That ought to be cool.
So we got fun stuff coming up here on the Solitaire Rose Network, and so that's what I'm geeking on. Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for an hour and a half. And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
Hit my music.